An anime world where just has so many well-written characters just can sometimes overpower other characters in the story. Like, for example, a orange-haired, fedora-wearing, choker-wearing guy who literally shows up for 15 seconds and everyone goes crazy. Or a tall, brown-haired character with bandages wrapped around half of his body does literally absolutely anything and every woman becomes feral. How can you fix a character who was not in some people's top 10 because the anime has so many important characters? One might ask this question, but I think this particular anime could maybe change that if they really wanted to, because they have technically done it already. And of course, I am talking about Bungo Stray Dogs. And the character that we are going to be talking about today is the main character himself, Atsushi Nakajima. Could Atsushi be a better main character for Bungo Stray Dogs if he was more like his Beast version? Let's talk about it. For anyone who doesn't know, in the light novel of Beast, the world is kind of switched around. There are people from the Port Mafia who are in the ADA, and vice versa. And Atsushi is in the Port Mafia, in this world, known as the White Reaper. And I recently watched it, recently made videos about it. If you want to go watch it, please do, because it's kind of failing. And I worked hard on it. But I think some of the biggest problems with Atsushi is really his low self-esteem. And granted, at the beginning, he does deal with PTSD from what happens in the orphanage, and it makes complete sense. Like, I don't blame him for dealing with those kinds of things. But we are 5 seasons in, and he's kind of gotten better with his PTSD. He doesn't deal with it near as much as he used to, but still does, here and there. And I think right now, his self-esteem is something that needs to be worked on, and just being more confident. And his Beast version is very confident. And I think if he just had a little bit more confidence and that self-esteem was a little bit better, I think just in those things alone, Atsushi would be more of a compelling character for the world of Bungo Stray Dogs. And one of the biggest things, too, is I think he doesn't really have a lot of fighting moments of just him. Every battle we really see him in, he's got people by his side. And I would like just a small, doesn't have to be a massive battle, doesn't have to be an incredible one, but just having him fighting alone against a powerful person and getting to see him at his fullness alone. Because every time we do see him alone, it's not for very long. He either, he fights by himself, gets freaked out, feels like he can't do it, and then Atagawa or someone else ends up showing up, and he gets more confident when he's around Atagawa. I think we all can agree on that. But I think if we could see him with his own battles and having these like badass moments that a lot of the characters do have, I think he would be a lot more compelling just by that too. I mean, you have other anime shows where the MC has battles by himself. You have Deku, who has had a battle by himself, one-on-one with someone. So you really get to see that full power to be able to know, because they are having to fight by themselves. Yuji Itadori in Jujutsu Kaisen has a battle by himself in the previous season just to show how strong he's becoming. I think Atsushi needs something like that. Him having a battle on his own without any help. I think that could really help Atsushi's character if they did this, because in Beast, almost every battle he does is by himself. Sometimes Kyoka shows up, but he's mostly taken care of at that point when she shows up. So she didn't really need to be there. One of the only parts I really recall in the anime where I feel like Atsushi kind of has like a badass hyped up moment is when the coffee shop owner is attacked by the thug people who are looking for stuff from the guild, and the ADA shows up to deal with them. And they're like, what about the guards outside? And it shows all of these guards who are beat up and laying on the ground, and Atsushi's just standing there half hybrid and is like looking back kind of like, what about your guards? They're fucked up. Like, that's just such a badass moment to me, and one of the main really moments I think about when people ask me about Atsushi, or if I see something about Atsushi. That moment right there, I think, was a big badass moment for him. But that's really it. He's got some cool moments. I mean, I'm not saying that's like the only one. He has cool moments, but the ones that stick in your brain is mostly that one. Because he is by himself. He does get that little glimpse by himself, but we don't see the battle. Like, we don't really see him fight them. It's afterward. And I think that if they had something like that, like, again, or just some other thing, I think they need to have Atsushi fighting alone. We need to see the battle. As the viewer, we need to see the battle. I want to see him showing up behind someone half hybrid, his half were-tiger and stuff, and just lay into someone. Like, ding, ding, ding. Like, let's go. Like, that's what I want. And I think that right there, too, would really help Atsushi as a character and his development. He has gotten over the PTSD. Like, I think he's gotten better with that. But I think now they need to focus on Atsushi and his confidence. Because like I said earlier, he has more confidence when he's around Atagawa. You really see that confidence level come up when he's around him. And they really need to start getting him to do that when he's not with Atagawa. Because it almost makes it look like Atsushi is relying on other people. And I think that's why, too, a lot of people don't fully... Atsushi is at least not in their top 10 half the time because of those things. Atagawa really doesn't need Atsushi. I mean, yes, granted, I think he does sometimes. But Atagawa has had moments that you can think about that are impactful. His power alone is incredible. I love Rashomon. And I think he relies on other people to show up sometimes. And the Beast version is not that at all. He's like, I can handle this myself. He's got that confidence that I think the anime version of Atsushi is missing. And I think if he had that, it would be very helpful. I think it's possible that they could make Atsushi after season 5 a little bit more like his Beast version. If they just made him at least have a little bit more confidence and a little bit more, not really independentness, but just more taking care of things himself, I think it would be better. And I think after everything that happened in season 4 or 5, I think they have the potential of making Atsushi a little bit like his Beast version. Because if you think about everything he's been through from season 4 to 5, you can really kind of see that change a little bit. He deals with the stuff with the decay of angels. He is basically on his own after the Armed Detective Agency is framed. He ends up getting separated by everybody. It's really just him and Kyoka. He's got to make decisions on his own. And, I mean, with Kyoka, but he's the older. He's the one who's been at the ADA the longest, so he probably feels a responsibility to be the one to do that. He has to make decisions. He does it, but you can tell he's questioning. You can tell he is concerned about it all. And, he deals with a lot of other stuff, too. You see him... they thought they lost Kunikita. Dazai gets arrested and isn't there. The stuff that happens with the hunting dogs, the leader of them, he literally fights him alone at first and is not doing good. He's like, this guy is stronger than me, and I can't do this alone. And Atagawa shows up, and he does get a little bit more confident. And then he loses Atagawa. And I remember when I was watching that, after that, you could see the little bit of, I don't want to say darkness in Atsushi, but you could see the anger building up in him when he loses Atagawa. You can tell that moment is what impacted him more than anything else that he just dealt with, even in previous seasons. Losing Atagawa, I think, was a little bit of a key moment for him, because now that thing that helps make him confident is gone. That person that made him feel like he was deserved to be there and was strong is gone. And I think after all of that, and even after seeing Atagawa as a vampire, now seeing him being manipulated and used, I think probably upsets him even more. And because he probably knows Atagawa would be pissed off if he knew that he was being manipulated. So I think watching him after all of that stuff and kind of seeing the expression that he has with Onigo, it reminded me a little bit of Dazai in the Port Mafia. He doesn't have like that full darkness, obviously, that Dazai had, but you can see that little bit starting. And, you know, it's still kind of there even towards the end, even in like maybe not the credit stuff, but in the little credit scenes at the end, you could also kind of see a little bit of, maybe not confidence, but he still had a little bit. You know, he was fighting, he was doing whatever he could, he was trying. And even though Atagawa does show up, it still begs that question as to, is that really their version of Atagawa? Or is that another version from another place because of how Beast ends and is exposed? So, I think they could potentially make Atsushi more of his Beast version after everything that he's dealt with. The past 4 or 5 seasons, I think they could do that if they played it correctly. And I think if they did that, it could make Atsushi more of a compelling main character. It might even make people like him even more and up in their ranks if that's the case. Because if you compare him to other MCs like Naruto and Luffy, for example, he doesn't really stand up par with those two. And I'm not saying he has to go on par with them. That's not what I'm saying. I just think he needs to have, one of the things that Naruto and Luffy have are confidence. Like, those two are very confident characters. I'm finished with Naruto. I am not anywhere near finished with One Piece. But from what I can tell about Luffy, from the spoilers I have seen and where I am, he does have confidence in himself. And so does Naruto. Naruto, from day one of OG, he's confident. Atsushi, still, 5 seasons in, is still dealing with a lot of that. And I think that's the biggest difference between him and other main characters. And though some main characters don't have confidence at the beginning, like Deku in My Hero Academia, he does start to get that confidence as the show goes on. And I think we haven't really seen Atsushi hit any confidence until maybe 5. But it's still not where he could be. And I think they could still fix Atsushi when it comes to his confidence. It's because clearly the stuff going on right now with Decay of Angels is not over. From what we know in the past few chapters of the manga that's been released, things are not over. They're not over by any means. So it's possible that they are still working on stuff. Like, we don't fully know what's going to happen after this. Like, and I think Atsushi needs to have a little bit more character development as the main character. Because when somebody talks about Bungo Stray Dogs, or, you know, if I'm seeing a video about somebody talking about it, people think Dazai is the main character. People think Rampo is even the main character. And when they find out it's Atsushi, they don't believe you. And I think Atsushi is a great character. I do love him. He's adorable. I love him so much. I do love Atsushi. But as a main character, he still has some development, I think, that could potentially make him up there. Just depending on how they actually do that anyways is, I mean, obviously up to the creator. But I think Atsushi needs to have more focus on his development when it comes to the confidence and having battles on his own. And then I think that could potentially make people like him more if they do that. Just those little things. You know, I love Beast Atsushi because I love that confident side. He has great panels in that light novel too, or manga, whatever it's called. When he shows up is so hype. I loved it. And I'm like, the anime version needs scenes like that too. He needs moments of when he shows up, you know. Like, he needs some kind of badass moment, like Naruto when Sakura, like, summons him during the pain arc, and he's just standing there like, what up? Like, Atsushi needs something like that, to when he shows up, you know Atsushi Nakajima is there. What you guys think? Do you guys think Atsushi needs to be more like his Beast version? Or maybe keep him a little bit more like the anime? Does he need to be more like the White Weeper or the Were Tiger? I would like to know what you guys think about Atsushi and if you think he would be better as Beast or anime. And I am very happy you were here. Believe it.